That is settling. We are watching the fall of a great American institution. He's not even interviewing for other jobs. Nothing against him. Nice guy. 3 jobs, 5 seasons, never been a head coach, never really been a top candidate for a head coach, but Jerry likes him. He's bounced around the league. Again, Dad was a legend, nice guy, but 7 and 10 football teams don't move off a coach and then hire the offensive coordinator who didn't call plays. I've never even heard of that. I mean, in any industry, you do not let good people leave the building, right? Like we all know, like Liam Cohen is this kid at Tampa, the resurrection of Baker Mayfield. He went and interviewed for the Jacksonville job. He said, no, thank you. He was such a good candidate. The owner of Jacksonville fired the general manager who couldn't close the deal. He goes back to Tampa, and they're going to make him the highest paid coordinator in the league offensively. Or Ben Johnson, who's going to show up 25 minutes on our show. He was like the leading candidate for 4 jobs. Brian Schottenheimer wasn't a candidate for any other job. I looked at his bio this morning. It's lateral moves, entire career, college pro. What are we doing? Elite employees don't make lateral moves, maybe at the end of their career, but not at the beginning and middle. I mean, watch Vegas react to this. So it just illustrates the directionless state of the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning coach, to Deion Sanders, a very promising college coach, to an offensive coordinator in the building for a 7 and 10 team that didn't call plays. What are we doing?
Yeah, this is interesting. Shout out to Nick Wright, who kind of called this. He had a lot of wrong takes about the Dallas Cowboys this season, but he was definitely right about this, where he was saying that, Jerry Jones and the media are getting too into the whole Deion Sanders thing, that it's all fake. And, here we are now going with Brian Schottenheimer. And which I'm recording this a lot later than I normally do, and so I'm sure First Things First will also address this right away, so I'll give that a shout out on First Things First as well. But Jerry Jones at this point is just incredibly predictable. It's one thing if Jerry Jones had a knack for finding talent to hire, not draft picks, not players, but just like in the business world, right? He just had the ability to really find people that he knew, hey, yeah, this guy's unproven, but I really think he's got a lot of potential. It's one thing if Jerry kind of had that, which he clearly does not. He clearly does not. You can praise him for lots of things that he's done well. This is not one of them. It's almost like at this point, the moves that Jerry Jones makes, it just feels like it's almost like someone who clearly dyes their hair but pretends that they don't, or something, like or like it's because it's just like so obvious, and they think like no one else knows, but like everyone knows. They think it's my little secret, but like everyone knows. And Jerry is constantly trying to find and hire coaches that he could just always leave, always keep them underneath him, always underneath him. And it obviously just completely hampers the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, just look at it from on the other side, which we had already seen in years past, but it's like, let's say Schottenheimer ends up being an awesome coach. Let's say he's amazing and he's a beast. We know that there would eventually be problems, and then he would push him out. We know that because like Jerry can't have that. They need to feel, in a lot of ways, what Jerry Jones wants is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles have, but the Philadelphia Eagles don't do it on purpose. It wasn't necessarily done on purpose with Sirianni. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, a tremendous amount of praise will go to Howie Roseman for the moves that he's made. It's not going to be Nick Sirianni. Sirianni will get some praise, I'm sure, but a lot of people, a lot of people will say the GM won that. He put it together. He put that team together. He's the one that drafted Jalen Carter. He's the one that got Saquon Barkley. He's the one that got Cooper DeJean. Like they would really point to him. And that's what Jerry Jones wants. No one's saying that Nick Sirianni is a super genius coach and that he put together all the game plans and this and that. They're not saying that. They're going to say Harry Roseman hired Fangio. He hired Kellen Moore. He put this together. I mean, I've already heard that, in so many different ways. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, he got praised. And then 5 years later, when they went back to a Super Bowl again with a new coach, new quarterback, he got the praise. That's what Jerry Jones wants. That's what Jerry Jones wants. Heck, if the Eagles hired Ben Johnson or something and they won a Super Bowl, they would say, hey, what's his face is a really, Harry Roseman is a really good GM. But Ben Johnson, that game plan, the way how he has that offense go, like it just supersedes it. Kind of like what we see with Kansas City and Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like they really get all the praise, not necessarily management, even though they've made awesome decisions over the years. They've built great teams over the years. They drafted Patrick Mahomes, which was not like this, like obviously easy, like, oh, no-brainer move. So like that is how Jerry Jones keeps trying to win. And you fundamentally can't do it. You just can't. Which is why the Eagles moved on from Doug Peterson, because it's not even what they want. They reached the conclusion that he is not good coach. They moved on from him. They're like, no, we can't win with you. Even though we won a Super Bowl with you, we're like, no. You're clearly not it. And then that's what Jacksonville Jaguars even found out as well. So it was the right move. And again, you can question the Eagles hiring Sirianni. It's hard to really know what they saw, what type of conversations they had, and all of that. But we know the Eagles are always very aggressive trying to make moves. If not, then they would have just stuck with Doug Peterson for years and years and years. And they did not do that, obviously. But you just have someone like Jerry Jones in this situation, and it feels so cyclical. We're just constantly doing the same thing again and again and again. And the reality is that there are moves to be made for the Dallas Cowboys. Because people would want to coach there. Listen, I no longer think that any job is like super prized relative to another job. Once upon a time, who would have ever wanted to coach in Kansas City? Once upon a time, who would ever want to coach in Buffalo? I mean, like we can name all these places. Once upon a time, the Lakers, that's the job that everyone wants. And now it's like, do they? Why? What's so magical about the Los Angeles Lakers? Players, I got to go to LA. I got to go. Like, players really don't care anymore. They don't. I mean, in the NFL right now, if you said, where would you rather go? To the Dallas Cowboys or the Kansas City Chiefs? Or the Philadelphia Eagles, the Buffalo Bills? The Dallas Cowboys would be at the bottom. People aren't saying, I want to play with the star on my helmet. They're like, I want to go with Mahomes and Andy Reid. I'm going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, who have been in 3 NFC Championship games in the last 7 years and 2 Super Bowls. Maybe 3. I'm going to go to the Washington Commanders. They're building something real special there with a rookie quarterback. Like, people want to go other places. You can't keep relying on your history, on your brand. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. I mean, there are certain companies, it's kind of predicted, and I don't know if this is true, because I think things can kind of change. But if you go back far enough, like the largest companies in America that people thought would be here forever, like every single one of them goes away. And that's why it's predicted, as hard as it is to kind of wrap your head around it, like Google won't exist one day. Amazon won't exist one day. And again, I don't know if we've reached this like critical mass aspect where it's just kind of like, no, they have become the government essentially, so it's not possible. But who really knows? Because like I said, there was massive companies in the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, that you were like, this, how could the world not have this company? And it's just gone. It's gone to the point where I don't even remember, I can't even recall it off the top of my head. Like, that's how gone it is. Yet it was everything. So again, you can keep relying on how many social media followers you have on Cowboys, and the fact that, people like Colin and stuff still talk about you. But I mean, like, I don't know where you're going. I don't know what direction you're going in. And this is what I said in my previous Dallas Cowboys video. You can keep talking about the rings you won in the 90s. Be my guest. And I said, like, what have you done in the last 30 years? Like, what have you done in the last 30 years? And someone in the comment section said, other teams don't mention their previous Super Bowls because they don't have it. And they said if the Eagles had all those Super Bowls, as many as Cowboys have, they would say it all the time like Cowboys fans do. And I'm like, no, they wouldn't. Because only the Dallas Cowboys do. I don't see the 49ers fans saying, yeah, well, we won Super Bowls back in. They don't say that. Pittsburgh Steelers have a ton of Super Bowls. They don't say that. The Eagles don't even reference the Super Bowl that they won in 2017. So, like, it's just wrong. I interact with all these fan bases. And the go-to comeback anytime they get backed into a corner is, yeah, well, we have all these Super Bowls. And it's like, it was over 30 years ago. You haven't even been to an NFC championship game. Like, again, the Jaguars have been to an AFC championship game. Like, we have so many of other teams and franchises that are awful that have been to more Super Bowls or conference championship games, have won Super Bowl in the last 30 years. So again, it's just like, I don't really care what you did before, like, the literal invention of the internet. I'm sorry. It just does. It really is. It doesn't matter. And again, I mean, when that one guy said that in the comment section, said about the Eagles, it's like, you're confused. Are you kidding me? The Eagles could have a Super Bowl winning coach and a quarterback 2 years later. If they're not performing, they're like, get out of here. They're not relying on that. But the Cowboys do. The Cowboys still, and this is why I always say this all the time, because they still want to say, we win 12 games a season. We win 12 games. We win 12. And it's like, again, congrats. What has it gotten you? Jaden Daniels in year 1 took his team to an NFC championship game. Jalen Hurts in his second year as a starter, maybe I think even just his second year in general, I forget exactly when he was officially drafted, but definitely his second year as an actual, full functioning starter, went to the Super Bowl. And then again, before Cowboys fans say, well, they have a better team, it's not Jalen Hurts, it's like, well, so then the Dallas Cowboys should build a better team. But you also tell me how great your team is because they won 12 games, multiple years in a row. And how you're predicted to get to the Super Bowl, that you have top Super Bowl odds, but then you don't get it done. So again, like I always say, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And I feel bad because I'm pretty much going to have to go on this whole rant again for First Things First. Because it's just something that I really, really believe in. You have to decide, is your team great or not? If it's great, well, then why are you not performing when it matters most? And if it's not great, then why you keep telling me that your team is great? And if your team is not great and you conclude, well, it's not great and it's also not great when it matters, well, then how do you get to great? How has the Washington Commanders found a way to get to the NFC Championship game in year 1 after being a disaster of a franchise for the last 20 years? And in 1 year, they were able to just get there. Why is it the Eagles, that you say are an awful franchise with a bad coach and a bad quarterback and a bad this, that they've been able to go to, again, 2 Super Bowls in the last 7 years? 3 NFC Championship games in the last 7 years. And the Cowboys haven't been able to do it in 30 years. You have to wrestle with some hard truths here, some reality. And you have to demand better. So it's a tough spot to be in, man. No doubt about it. A tough spot to be in. And I just don't know how you can be optimistic. Why couldn't the Dallas Cowboys take a big swing and get Ben Johnson? Why couldn't they do that? Are you kidding me? Ben Johnson? That could have been huge. Harbaugh last year? Could have been huge. Heck, even just keeping McCarthy would at least given you some stability. Maybe not as much optimism. And listen, maybe he'll be a great coach. But the reality is if Jerry Jones hired him, I think we kind of already know that answer. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys hiring Brian Schottenheimer? Do you think this will benefit them? Do you think they're on a positive trajectory Do you think Micah Parsons should be the head coach? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.